Yo, you weren't gonna call Riverbed, were you?
Absolutely not.
Rent got too expensive, had to leave LA. So I got into my car and I went away to the big estate. Playing poker every day. Going all in with these fish like I'm at an all-you-can-eat buffet. It's a Saturday in Texas. You know what that means, college football. We drive an hour west to TCU and check out the stadium before heading inside to watch them play the University of Texas. Check out how sick this campus is. You won't believe it, but halfway through the game we get noticed by a vlog watcher. His name is Cade, and clearly from this next video we had a few brews together.
Woo! It's Wolfgang, baby, at TCU. Let's go Frogs, baby, yeah!
We cheered on the Horned Frogs from the student section, but then they ended up losing, so we decided to hit up Frankie from Next Gen Poker and get some barbecue together.
This is all for me, baby. All of it.
After stuffing our faces, we're back at Texas Card House ready for some crazy action. They're stoked we're here as well. They announce our presence to the entire room, which piques the interest of a few players who come to take our chips.
Also, we've got a couple of YouTube vloggers here that want to start a YouTube vlogging table. So everyone's aware that you will be filmed, all faces will be blurred out.
We're back at Texas Card House with Frankie here, Next Gen Poker. We're playing the 1-3. We're doing a challenge between me and him. We just had some dank barbecue, but now we got a challenge on the table. Who can win
the most money? Let's go.
Let's go.
That was so good.
In for 800. He's up a little bit right now. We're gonna battle. Let's
Already
see
up
where we go.
100, boys.
Yeah.
Welcome to Texas. Let's go.
Let's go into the hands.
First hand from the session, I look down at King 10 offsuit from the cutoff and I raise it up to $15. Player to my left puts in the call from the button and we're off to a flop heads up. Flop comes King Jack 5 with 2 hearts. Pretty good board for us. There is the heart draw, but we're gonna fire out here for $11. A standard C bet in my opinion. The button's having none of it though. He just immediately raises it up to $40. I'm not going to be folding here with top pair. I stick in the additional chips and we're off to the turn, which comes the 9 of spades. Interesting card because it puts the backdoor spade draw out there, but we have the 10 of clubs in our hand and that gives us a gutter to the queen. When I get raised on the flop, gonna check it over to the button and see what he does here, and he elects to go for a bet. The sizing is $70, which is like 66% of the pot, but I have a hunch here that my pair of kings is good. I put in the $70 and we're off to the river, which comes the 4 of diamonds. I check it over to him again, hoping to get to a showdown here. Please do not bet, Mr. Button, and he doesn't. He checks behind and shows 9-7 of hearts for 1 pair and the missed flush draw. He had a lot of outs there on the river. Luckily, he did not connect. $254 though coming our way. Nice to take down the first pot of the session. Take that, Frankie. Up a little bit already. We look down at pocket tens. Under the gun raises it up to $15 and gets called by the +1 position. Obviously, we're not going to call here and just set mine. We're going to go for the 3-bet. Try to take down the money that's in the pot, or if we get called, we have a great hand and we're confident in our post-flop abilities. I 3-bet it to $55 and both the under the gun and the +1 put in the call. So we're going 3 ways to the flop here in a nearly $170 pot. Flop's decent for us. It comes king, king, deuce, rainbow. Obviously, we have a pair, which is hard to make. Anybody with a king will have trips, though, and will have us beat. But when the action's checked to me, I'm going to bet my entire range here. $55 and the action's back on the under the gun position. No folding for him. He tosses in 3 chips, which is a call. +1 gets out of the way and we're off to a turn. Turn comes a deuce of clubs, so there's 2 pair on the board and we have a pair in our hand. I guess that's called 3 pair, as some people like to joke on the table, but we're still left with 2 pair, kings and 10s, 280 in the pot. Under the gun checks it over to me. I think when we get called on the flop, he's pretty much just going to have a king or some random hand that's floating us. And if he's floating us on the turn, he might go for the check raise here and put us in a weird spot. So with pocket tens, we have some nice showdown value. I decide to check behind here and see what the river brings in. River's another clean card. It comes with 3 of diamonds. If we were ahead before this card, we're probably going to be ahead still. Action's on under the gun and he decides to go for a check for the 3rd time. Like I said, not looking to get bluffed off this hand, although it is pretty weak of the under the gun to check it over to me 3 times. I decide to get to a showdown. He turns over pocket 8, so we might have paid us off for one more small bet there on the river. But 2-0 on the session here. We're going to take down that nearly $280 pot with our pocket tens. Let's go. Real quickly, shout out to my sponsor, Poker Bros. If you guys are interested in getting any merch from Poker Bros, I have a 40% off coupon code. Put in Wolf40 at checkout for 40% off. Thanks for sponsoring this video. If you guys want to play with me, message my club admin 73 on Telegram. Let's get into the hands. In Texas, they like to have fun. Not only do the decks change color, as you can see, it's now lime green. They also like to play double board bomb pots. Some of them are PLO, and in this hand, it's not. It's a no limit variety. We're playing 2 boards here. We're off to the flop 9 ways for $10 a piece. Of course, we look down at pocket aces because how could we not in a bomb pot? Unfortunately, we can't raise it up pre. We're going to go off to a flop. First board comes deuce 5-9. We have an overpair. Second board comes ace 8-4. Bang, we flop top set. Great news for us is the under the gun bets out for $100 into this $90 pot. Obviously, we're loving life here. We have the nuts on the second board, and we have an overpair on the other one. So I decided to play this one fast here. There's a few draws out there, and we don't want to give anybody else a good price here. If the guy that bet 100 wants to get it in here, that's what he's going to have to do. I rip it all in for 1,000. The action obviously folds back around to him, and he decides to put in the call here. So we're going to go off to a turn and a river twice in this $1,300 pot. First board comes the 4 of spades. Second board comes the 10 of clubs. And the river on the first is the 3 of diamonds, followed by another 10 of diamonds on that board. One of the boards we fill up, we have aces full of 10s. And on the other one, we river the straight. We're feeling pretty good about our prospects here in this hand. We turn them over. The opponent ends up showing 9-5 offsuit for 2 pair on one of the boards on the flop. But that river gives us the straight. We're going to scoop this pot here. Ripping it all in on the flop was a great decision. $1,300 coming our way. $1,700 in our stack. We're in the low jack. Shout out to the trooper. We look down at the ladies, and I raise it up to $20. Cutoff and the button both put in the call, so going 3 ways to the flop here. 64 in the pot. The flop comes 10-5 deuce. We have an overpair here in loving life. Obviously against 2 other opponents with an overpair, we're going to charge them for any 10s or overcards here. I bet out for $35. Cutoff pretty quickly, gets out of the way, but the button wants to play for more money. He tosses in 3 green chips, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm not in it. 2 more green chips coming in for me. We're off to the 6 of spades on the turn. We get raised on the flop. I'm going to start with a check. No sense in dunking into the opponent here. And he takes a stack of red from behind his stack, puts a few more on top, and that's going to be a $125 bet to me. When he raises the flop, he's polarizing his hand. He either has a strong draw or he has a set or 2 pair. I think a set is more likely, something like 5s or deuces. So I'm not going to raise here and try to pile more money in. Instead, I'm just going to go for the flat call and see what happens on the river. River pairs the board. It comes the 5 of clubs, which is actually a decent card because now we have 2 pair in case he had some weird combo like 10 deuce, 10 6, something like that. And it also makes pocket 5s less likely. So now it's pretty much just pocket deuces, maybe pocket 10s, ace 10, one of those kind of hands that's playing it like this. So after rivering 2 pair here, I decide that I actually want to lead into the opponent here. The 5 of clubs, like I said, makes it less likely he has a few good hands. So I'm trying to get some value here against pocket jacks, ace 10, king 10, any of those kind of hands. I decide to lead out here for $200. Opponent doesn't think for too long before ultimately putting in the call. I think I'm going to be good here when he doesn't go for the raise. I turn over my pocket queens and he fiddles with his cards before throwing them over to the dealer. Dealer makes sure that the amount is perfect. We look over at Frankie. He's pissed off because we are crushing him right now in this challenge. $864 coming the Wolf's way. Take that, Frankie. We haven't even finished stacking our chips up yet, and we have looked down at ace king of diamonds. Early position raises it up to $15, and obviously a good hand here like ace king of diamonds needs to be played for a lot more money. I raise it up to $55. Middle position and the early position player both put in the $55, going heads up in between 2 opponents off to a flop. 184 in the middle. Flop comes 8, 9, 10 with 2 diamonds. Obviously a pretty great board for us because although it is connected, we have the strongest draw, the ace high flush. Early position checks it to me. I decide to check it over to middle position, and he decides the action is good. He checks behind. We're off to the turn. Turn comes the deuce of diamonds, and now early position leads out for $90. Having the nut flush draw here is crucial, and I'm not going to fold it just yet. I put in the $90, and middle position gets out of the way, so we're heads up in position to a river, hoping to see an ace king or preferably a non-board pairing diamond. Let's see what the dealer puts out. 364 in the middle. The river comes the perfect card, 4 of diamonds. Bang! We river the nut flush. And music to our ears is when early position starts playing with his chips before assembling a large bet here, $280 into the $364 pot. Obviously, we have the nuts on this board. The king of diamonds is just a little bit of overkill. I wish he had that card in his hand instead, but we can't just call here. We obviously have to go for the raise. We have the nuts. I'm deciding on what kind of a sizing he'll pay us off for here. If he has a set, he's definitely not going to like the diamond on the river. So for that reason, I decided to get an extra $410 worth of value. I raise it up to $690. Action's back on the other opponent, and he postures for what feels like a whole minute before mucking his cards, so no more value for us there, but we're going to take down that pretty sizable pot there with our rivered flush. He told me for the vlog he'll show his hand ace-4 offsuit, so we just rivered a pair. Apparently he was thinking about going for the river shove there. Really unfortunate for us, he didn't decide to rip it in there, but we're going to take down the $644 pot. After just winning with ace-king, it's only fitting we get the exact same hand, just the offsuit variety this time, and I raise it up to $20 from the under the gun position over a few limpers, and 3 of those limpers put in the call. 4 ways to the flop here comes ace 8-7. We obviously have top pair with the best kicker and the backdoor nut flush draw. Against 3 other opponents here, I decide to start with a check. Unfortunately, no value coming for us. They check it around, which brings the 4 of clubs on the turn. When the action checks to me for a second time here, it's time to get some value. I lead out for $65. The player to my left in the middle position puts in the call. He's an unbeliever, and we're off to the river. River comes a 6 of clubs, which puts a 4-liner out to the straight. Obviously, any 5 would have us beat here, but the front door heart draw bricks out. When we check the flop, we have to bet the turn and the river. That's what I decided to do here. There's 210 in the pot. What do you guys think about the sizing here? $85 is the bet. Player to my left doesn't think about it for too long before tossing in a stack of red. That's a call. We flip over our ace-king, and he quickly mucks his hand in frustration. Nice to get a second street of value there. $380 coming our way. We are on fire right now, stacking those chips.
Break number 1, Alex, how are you doing?
We're up to 2,700. We've been getting hit by the deck here. Up $1,900 in 2 hours.
You guys just saw my ace-king hand. I am down $500, so we need, how much math is that? $2,400 swing.
Double up and then another double up and then...
So one Texas bomb pot though.
Yeah, it's gonna happen.
Let's do it.
Next hand of the night is an interesting one. We looked down at ace-9 of hearts from the button here. Few $10 limps over to me, and I decide that's not enough money. We're gonna raise it up to $50 and look to take down all the dead money. But the small blind, middle position, and the cutoff all put in the call, so going 3 ways to the flop. The flop with just over $200 in it comes ace-king-10. We have top pair with a 9 kicker. The action checks to the cutoff, who decides he's going to play for all his chips. He rips it all in for $170. When we flop top pair and someone just rips it in here, it's obviously not the best. But we came to gamble here. We're trying to crush Frankie's soul, so we put in the call and we're off to a run out. He decides that he wants to run it 2 times, and he turns over king, jack of spades. So not only does he have a pair and a gutter, he has a royal flush draw. We're going to see 4 cards here, and a queen of spades would be the elusive royal flush. Honestly, you guys, I'm kind of rooting for it. I kind of want to see a royal flush right now, but if he gets one of the boards, I want to get the other one. Let's chop. The first board gives him the queen of clubs. The straight comes right away, followed by the 7 of diamonds. Second board comes the jack of diamonds, followed by the jack of hearts. He has a full house. Ace-9 suited there is going to go down in flames, $543, going the other opponent's away. We end up looking at the hand after the fact on a little solver here. And it turns out he actually had 58% equity to our 42%. Crazy how poker works sometimes. We're then in the big blind, and we look down at king, queen, offsuit. Under the gun limps, and Frankie on the button raises it up to $30. The action's back onto me, and I think we could be going for another re-raise here, somewhere in the neighborhood of $90 to $110. But I don't want Frankie to fold. I want to play a pot with him here. We haven't played one so far. I toss in the $30, which brings in the under the gun player. 3 ways out of position to a flop comes king, 4, 9 with 2 diamonds. Obviously a great flop for our hand, and I start with a check here, and the under the gun does as well. Action's back onto Frankie, who decides to see a free card. He checks behind. 3 of hearts comes on the turn, and we could start to fire out here and protect our hand and get some value, but I decided to play this one tricky and go for a check raise. I start with a check. Under the gun checks as well, and Frankie's not one to check behind when checked to twice here. He bets out for $30, a third of the pot. I think it's time to spring the trap now, and I go for the check raise and put Frankie in a tough spot here with a $75 bet. Interesting situation developing here when the under the gun now calls my $75 raise and its actions back onto Frankie, who gets rid of his cards. Did not really expect to see that. I thought the action was just going to get folded around and we were going to win that pot. But nevertheless, we're off to the deuce of clubs on the river. It's likely that the opponent's turn calling range is going to have a lot of one pair and diamond draws in there, along with some straight draws as well. But I'm going to keep firing here for $105. King Queen is a pretty strong hand here in No Limit Hold'em. That's what I do, 105 going into the middle. The opponent now raises us up to $400. Pretty strange and pretty large if I do say so. In my head right now, I'm thinking if he was raising us for value, he'd probably make it a little bit smaller, like $250 to $300. This $400 raise is very polarizing, so he's basically saying he has a very, very strong hand or a missed draw. Obviously the diamond's bricked out, but ace 5 and 5-6 now make a straight. I don't think he would be raising us here with any king. That would probably just call us. So I think it's more likely in the situation he's going to have missed diamonds than a very strong hand. Additionally, I don't think he would check twice on the flop or the turn if he had a set, something like pocket 3s, pocket 4s, or pocket 9s. So I just don't believe him here. He's going to have to show us the goods. I put in the call for an additional $300. And that's what he does. He shows us the goods. He had a gutter on the turn and called a $75 pet, only to scoop with a deuce of clubs on the river. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. I'm having some second thoughts about my call here. Maybe it's better to just find a fold, but nevertheless, a pretty disgusting card there on the river. He's going to take down this nearly $1,100 pot, cutting into a few of our profits here on the session. We then look down at two red kings from the low jack. I raise it up to $20. The button and the small blind both put in the call, so going heads up in between two players to a flop, which comes 5, 3, 8 with 2 clubs. Pretty good board for us, and the small blind checks it over to me. When I'm between two opponents, I usually like to start with a check. That's what I do in the actions on the button, who checks behind. Free card incoming, which is the deuce of clubs. Doesn't really change too much unless someone has 4-6 or ace-4, and the small blind now leads out for $20. I think we can confidently get value here and go for a raise. There's some draws out there, and there are some one pair type holdings that will pay us off for more money. That's what I do. I raise it up to $75, which gets the button out of the way and the actions back on the small blind. The gig's up for him. He tosses his cards into the muck. I like my raise there on the turn. We're going to take down that pot. With 2,000 in our stack, we look down from the small blind at ace king. Frankie opens it up to $10, and the action's back onto me, obviously going for the 3-bet here. I make it 35 from out of position. Frankie's dying to get into a pot, a big hand with us. He puts in the call, and we're going heads up out of position to a flop. Ace of spades in the window, followed by the 10 and deuce of clubs. Obviously a great flop for us. Additionally, having the king of clubs in our hand. I throw one green chip out there, and Frankie does as well, and we're off to a turn. Turn comes a jack of spades, giving us a gutter to the queen. That obviously would be Broadway. Looking to get an additional street of value here from any ace or any 10. I decide to bet $45 for value. Frankie can be sticky at times. He tosses in $45 of his own chips, and we're off to the river, which comes a 10 of diamonds. Pairing the board, we now have 2 pair, aces and 10s with a king. Obviously, the front door club draw breaks out, which is music to our ears, and the action is on me. I look to go for a little bit of extra value here. I decide to milk him for $40, and he starts laughing at the table, saying, "What kind of bet is that?" Not sure if you can read the cards. I'm gonna put a link to a GoFundMe for Frankie to get some glasses in my description. Just kidding, but what the heck kind of face is that? $40 is a grace price for Frankie. Ultimately, he decides he can't fold. He's calling for the vlog here. And we're going to turn over our ace king and scoop this pot. He said he was calling us down light there. He didn't even have an ace in his hand. Welcome to the big leagues, Frankie. Last night of the night, we looked down at ace 3 of spades from the hijack. Middle position, who goes by Chill Bill. He opens it up to $15. My right puts in the call, and I'm looking to play a big pot here. I put in the call as well. 2 others call behind, and we're going 5 ways to a flop here, which comes ace king 10 with a spade. Chill Bill bets out for $30, and we have a lot of backdoor draws and top pair to go along with it. I decide that $30 is a good price for that. I put in the call as well. Turn gives us 3 of a kind. It comes the ace of diamonds. Obviously a great card for us. There's only one other ace left in the deck. Chill Bill bets out for $85 now into the $135 pot. You think a card like the ace of diamonds would slow him down unless he had it in his hand already. It pairs the board, which makes queen jack, which was flop Broadway, Not a really good hand anymore, as any combination with an ace in it like ace king or ace 10 now has a boat. I'm not going to raise here. A call is appropriate. I stick in $85 and we're off to the river. River comes the 4 of hearts and Chill Bill checks with his middle finger. I check it behind here looking to get to a showdown, and he turns over 2 pair king 10. We obviously outturn him there, but we don't get any more value. On hindsight, I don't like my check behind on the river. When he checks it over to us, I can confidently go for a bet somewhere around $150 for value. Given his exact hand, it'd probably be tough to get another call, but I think we still need to go for value there when he gives up on the river. I asked Chill Bill if he was calling a river bet there after the hand, and this is what he had to say about it.
Yo, you weren't gonna call a river bet, were you?
Absolutely not. Hey, can I just be on the lug? What's up? There you go.
Thanks for coming out, bro. What's up, boys, and like 2 of you that are girls? We
Like
5, yeah, like 2%, whatever. We just finished the session. Well, he did. I'm still playing. How'd you do, Frankie?
The challenge was an absolute sweat. I was
Last call, Jonas, 1-3, shot, 1-3.
into the game for 1,800, out of the game for 800.
Okay, so it's pretty close.
So he has
because
to beat minus 1,000.
currently I'm sitting at a profit of
want the
1,600, so we did take
so
the W.
close.
What does Jameis do? He licks his fingers, has the W. I can't do it, but yeah. Thanks for watching, guys. Go check out Next Gen. They have great content.
Like
as
the video,
well.
boys.
Media
this
C,
video.
1-3, no limit.
Subscribe.
Subscribe if you're new. Comment down below. We'll check you guys in the next video. Peace. Thanks for watching to the end of my video. Click my head below to subscribe and stay in the loop. See you next time.